What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Martian and Ozzy podcast. This week, we are back to talk about the UFC card going down from the UFC Apex this Saturday, September 23rd, 2023. We got 11 fights, headlined by a lightweight banger between Rafael-Fiziev taking on Mateusz Gamrot. Really excited to talk about some of these fights. Pretty good fight night card, so I'm looking forward to this one. Joined by my co-host, as always, Ozzy. How we doing this week, my man?
What's up, boys? Plowing through September, right? We're halfway in. Awesome card last week. I was very entertained by my fellow Latinos. Some controversy to end the night. Personally, like I said, I don't everyone's focusing on the judge thing. Yeah, great, wild scorecard. Doesn't make any sense at 10-8. I think that's, all that needs to be said. But personally, I scored the fight for Alexa Grasso. Alexa won, but it was close enough I felt for it to be a draw. So like it being a draw, I guess is better than Alexa winning because people are so tripped out over how we got there. But I honestly thought Alexa Grasso won as we were watching it, and the live number did signal that. I think someone mentioned that when Shevchenko gave up her back, it went from her being like I don't know minus like 250 or something like that to being like a big underdog. So I thought Alexa won. I did you? How did you score the fight? You scored it, Shevchenko.
I didn't really care enough to
That's what.
score
How
it.
did you score the fight, bro? Come on, you definitely were scoring the
No,
fight.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it, honestly. I watched the first 3 rounds and I turned it off. I'm dead
They give
serious.
you a main event on free TV, and you watch
I
that
was
fight.
out.
You watch that back and forth. Okay, okay, you were
I
not.
was out. I was driving home. I, like, got home right at the end of the 3rd
You
round,
had a
and I
lot of
was
opinions, bro. Yo, that was so
well,
annoying. That
my stance on the fight is each had 2 clear rounds, right?
you didn't
And then
even
there was
watch the fifth round, and you were lecturing me
no,
about.
I went back and I watched that part 'cause,
Right, who won the fucking fight then? You
but
watch the
here's the
fourth
thing.
round?
Let me tell you, yeah, the 4th round I never watched. I watched the first, second, third, and fifth. I swear to God.
That makes no
But the
sense.
thing is both women had 2 clear rounds, and then there was
And then
one
and then
round.
and then and then there was one round where everyone's debating who won it, and you didn't watch it.
No, I
So
didn't.
why
I
are
don't
we even
care.
asking you? Why are we even?
I don't,
You know what, Martian? No one cares about what you have to say about this. I didn't even know that. So let's move
you,
on. Let's move
yeah,
on. You don't even
so
know. You don't even know
no,
who
I
fucking
think
won the fight. Who should have won the fight? You're worse than Mike Bell. You're worse than Mike Bell. Maybe that's what Mike Bell did. Mike Bell didn't watch the fifth round, and he turned around and asked somebody who won, and they said Alexa, and he was like, "Fuck it." The way that I make Alexa, or like how I make it closer, is making it 10-8. So you and him are the same. You're the same kind of horrible person. So
yeah.
let's move on to
I
this.
think, I just think planting your flag on whoever won, 'cause
Sure.
some people are saying round 4 for Grasso, some are saying Shevchenko. It was clearly like a toss-up round. Anybody who was like, "Oh, so and so certainly won," clearly they didn't fucking certainly win because it's highly debated. So,
Alexa
uh,
Grasso won, dude.
I
Honestly,
guess
she,
we're I
honestly,
guess
she won. She Pride rules. sh- She won.
I guess we're gonna watch it
She
again.
won.
So I'll worry about
Shevchenko don't do shit
rewatching.
in that fight.
I'll worry about watching the 4th round in, several months from now when they rebook that fight.
I'm looking forward to it because I'm interested to see what the odds will be. If it'll be a little bit bigger, a little.
Probably
I
pick
think it
'em.
might be bigger. No, I think there's some people like who got this girl won 40 minutes out of 48 or whatever the fuck. But
Right, right.
like that
That was a good
matters,
tweet. That
bro.
was a good tweet. I wonder how what his profit loss on the fights were. Definitely a loss. Definitely a loss.
I mean, my
Um,
man has lost on every J. Bro, this guy Gugabe told me that JDM will be evens versus Fletcher, bro. Come on.
yeah.
Let's get into this fight card though.
So yeah, we got some fights this week, right? We got 11 fights.
Mhm.
We're going from the top like we've been doing for lately. We're going to continue with that trend. We're going from the top. That means we're starting it off with the main event, a banger of a lightweight fight. Rafael-Fiziev taking on Mateusz Gamrot. Odds for this one, Fiziev favored minus 150, Gamrot plus 130. So I got Gamrot here. I think that the fight is going to go the full 5 rounds, and I think I gotta trust the guy, the better gas tank, and that's Mateusz Gamrot. You know, I definitely think that the of Fiziev's gonna give Gamrot some trouble. He's the much better striker, the much more damaging striker. And in his one 5-round fight, the RDA fight, he had great cardio. He stuffed a ton of takedowns. He won the first 3 rounds clearly, had a little trouble in the 4th round, lost that round, but got right back to work and knocked RDA out in the 5th round. His cardio looked great there. But then we saw him fight Justin Gaethje, and then he gassed out after the 2nd round there. 3rd round, he was totally flat in that fight. So, you gotta wonder what his cardio is like. I expect it to be back to 5-round condition here, but I just think that the nonstop takedown attempts of Mateusz Gamrot will eventually wear on Fiziev because I think that's just like a certainty here, guys. If Gamrot is not asleep, he is going to be shooting 25, 30, 40 takedowns, however many takedowns it needs to get the job done. He is going to shoot that amount of takedowns. And I just think that the small cage favors Gamrot a lot here, and the championship rounds favor Gamrot a lot here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Fiziev start fast, stuff the takedowns early, win the first round or two, but beyond the 2nd round, I think the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round really favor Mateusz Gamrot here. So before the fight, I'm taking a small position on Gamrot, and then I'm gonna have the finger on the live betting trigger, just waiting to add on Gamrot here, waiting to see when Fiziev starts slowing down because I do think it is inevitable that the takedown defense will eventually start to wane here, and Gamrot's pace is gonna start to wear on Fiziev, and Gamrot will take over. So I'll go Gamrot 48-47 decision. It's not like the lock of the century. I am confident in Gamrot, but I mean, I still think the fight will play out close, and it will be a 3 round to 2 decision here for Gamrot. So can't wait for this one. Amazing matchup, great fight. Ozzy, let's hear it.
Pretty cool. So, I've been a fan, especially of Gamrot's. I think in the last 6 fights that I bet of his, I'm 6-0. That's including flipping from backing Gamrot to being on Benil, and then going back, supporting Gamrot in his next fight against Armin. So I had a pretty good read on him overall, and I just think the guy is really really talented, very experienced, and very well rounded. So the guy comes from KSW. He was a double weight world champion there, so 145 and 155. So he's got great cardio because he did go 5 rounds multiple times in that promotion. 80cc competitor in the past. His ground game's on point, and like you said, he comes from like a awesome wrestling background. I don't know specifically, but his wrestling is fantastic. Some of the best in MMA. And I think it goes underrated that the guy really is an elite athlete with an elite gas tank. And I mean, I think if he wasn't doing this, he would be like one of those, crazy white dudes you see that do Ironmans and freaking marathons and all that stupid shit, riding bikes, all that stuff, beating Conor McGregor at literally anything. I think Gamrot, except for drinking, he doesn't look like a drinker. So, so I like him in this fight. The guy can fight from both stances as well, and has setups or takedowns both ways. I think he needs to look out for like those knees of Fiziev, some of the angles of the kicks that he throws, obviously. But Gamrot, he uses his feints pretty well, and then when he gets on the takedown, man, he's like a dog on a bone. Honestly, he's better than Dos Anjos ever was in terms of finishing leg attacks. RDA, you saw even in the fight against like Barberena and stuff like that, he needed to really get body locks and stuff like that to drag him down, or even Vicente Luque. And let me tell you, Gamrot, even at being a smaller guy than Vicente Luque, I don't think he would really have a lot of trouble taking him down at this stage of his career. So I think that's just like a nice analog just to see how RDA's wrestling has progressed. So I just think that this guy's got a great gas tank. He's going to keep going for it on the feet. He'll probably be able to mind his P's and Q's. He uses his kicks, as he needs them. And I like that he could offer a few different looks to Fiziev. So I got Gamrot here for a few units here. I started in at plus 135. I got some 130, but I think anything over like 110, 115, I think is pretty good as like a solid wager. Anything other than that, you're kind of like sucking out a lot of the value on it. But so I would try to get it now. I could see the line going either way, but I don't see that like a plus 130 ticket on Gamrot being a bad bet. So let's go Gamrot. Let's go for 7-0.
Yeah, I don't know where this line is gonna go. I agree. But another great fight in the co-main event. We got Bryce Mitchell taking on Dan Ige. Odds to this one have Mitchell minus 200, Ige plus 170. A lot of action on Mitchell this week. He was minus 150 at the start of the week. Sunday or the right when the fights ended last week. He was minus 150, steamed to minus 200. Who you got in this one?
Yeah, it's a good co-main event. I really like it a lot. You got two guys that are pretty experienced here overall. In the UFC and just have been in here for a while now, and they've been kind of close to being matched up together. I know that actually Bryce Mitchell has been matched up as well with Evloev, and I think that's how Danige ended up stepping in there. So the stylistically, obviously, Bryce is a grappler at first. He fights usually from the southpaw stance, but sometimes he switches to orthodox. He's really throwing kind of like a few jabs out there. His stand up's not really that developed. I think he looks to use his kicks, but he's trying to get body locks. He's trying to get to double legs and single legs and high crotches, stuff like that. Mat wrestle as well. He's very good once he gets on top. He looks deceptively strong, I would say. But he's able to keep top position. He's able to stack guys up, have them, their hips collapse and, not give them a lot. He's very sticky as well. He uses a lot of the wrestling, maneuvers and moves, but he's very sticky when he's like putting in his hooks and he's kind of like, staying on top. Now, Dan Ige impressed me because he has clearly shown he's got power in both hands. He's been using a lot more footwork when he is using his striking. So he did that a lot versus Nate Landwehr. Switch stances. Hitting from both sides, and he had Nate. Nate didn't know what was hitting him from where. So that was a really solid performance, and it was 15 minutes worth. So I think that's the main thing here. How long does Bryce Mitchell have to stay standing up versus Dan Ige? I think it's going to probably be I think Dan Ige is going to have some success here. So I think he's going to be able to stop some takedowns here potentially just with being able to use that newfound footwork. I think he's definitely developed as a fighter. And this is a good test for him to show that and improve at. So I'm gonna go with Dan Ige. I like him here on the money line. I actually thought the fight was gonna be closer, gonna tighten the fight line. So I got some like 140, 145, but then I also got some plus 180. So I definitely really like it as a bet overall. And I just feel that he's going to be able to, even if Bryce is taking him down, I think he's going to be active, getting up. Obviously, Bryce is very dangerous, front headlock, getting to the back and such. But I think this fight potentially could even go to split decision as well, where you got a guy who Dan Ige is going to be looking to land the big punches and stuff like that, looking to always hit Bryce. And Bryce is going to be, kind of crotch sniffing, if you will, looking to keep the takedown. So I could see this fight ending in a split decision. But I'll take Dan Ige, maybe Dan Ige by decision. I think you get maybe a plus 500. But all good angles, and I do think this fight probably hits the scorecards. But I think I would stay away from the total.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with just about everything there. The price going the distance minus 190, I don't like actually. I just think that if both these guys are having success in their realm, I think a finish is live for either one. I could see Bryce just getting nonstop top game and maybe getting like an arm triangle on top. And if the fight is staying on the feet and Ige is outstriking him, I could see a knockout happening as well. I'm on Dan Ige here as well. 1.5 units at plus 185 for me right now. And, what's just shocked to see where this line went. I was liking Ige at plus 130 earlier in the week. And then just to see it to go up to plus 185, I thought was crazy. 35% for Dan Ige. Just a really quality fighter. I mean, he was a big dog against Evloev, and Evloev looked really good there. But then, generally, I just think it's pretty hard to cover this type of price tag against Dan Ige here. And Bryce is obviously going to be looking to get the fight to the floor, but I'm just not overly impressed with Bryce's ability to get the fights to the floor. Not necessarily his wrestling, but just like his striking to set that up. He was able to blindly blitz guys like Feely and Edson Barbosa, even snuck in a nice left hand that hurt Barbosa there. I just don't think he's going to be able to get away with that same reckless type of pressure against Dan Ige. Ige has, a really solid base. His feet are always underneath him, and he's just a really hard puncher, good counter puncher. And I think that if Mitchell's doing that same reckless aggression that he does in some of his fights, I think he's going to get countered hard on the way in here. And I do have some concern about Ige being taken down. We did see him get taken down by Ivloev and Korean Zombie, and generally some of the guys who have beat him have been guys who've been able to take him down. But I think that Mitchell's takedowns are going to start to deplete pretty quickly here once he starts getting punched in the face, and that's I think people are underrating here is that if Bryce doesn't get this fight to the floor in the first round, I think the Ige is going to be building, and it's going to be really difficult for Mitchell to get those takedowns after that point because I just think that Ige's punches, they're really impactful. We saw him put Damon Jackson out stiff. We saw him hurt Nate Landwehr multiple times. This guy just has really precise punches, and I think that they're going to be landed on Mitchell here, and it's going to really disrupt Mitchell's rhythm, and he's not going to be able to get those takedowns going if they get stuffed early on here. So I think that Mitchell is going to need takedowns in the first round here, or else he's going to be drawn pretty thin in those second and third rounds, and wouldn't even be totally shocked to see Ige knock him out in the second or third round here. So I really like Dan Ige here. This is a great matchup. And I can't wait for this one as well. So, got back-to-back underdogs, and that's gonna be a theme on this card. We got more underdogs coming. A fight that is in the women's strawweight division next. Marina Rodriguez taking on Michelle Waterson. A rematch here. Odds for this one have Rodriguez -300, Waterson +250. This first time they fought was short notice. It was at 125. Rodriguez won that fight. But both these women are old, man. Rodriguez is 36 years old. It doesn't seem that way because she came to the UFC really late, only about what 2018 it was. So it doesn't seem like she's that old, but man, uh, this woman is old. And I think she's looking old in her fights lately, man. I mean, Lemos, I never expected Lemos to beat her. She knocked her out. Jane Redova wiped the floor with her, just got, nonstop easy takedowns in that fight. And Rodriguez is a straight up bad grappler, man. I mean, her takedown defense, her get ups, everything about her grappling is bad. So, a woman's fighter with bad grappling at -300 is an immediate no go. And it's not like Waterson is a total bum as well. I mean, she's old, she's much more experienced, probably has more miles on her personally, but I really think that if Waterson can get on top here, that's going to be a round winning ability for her here. So I wouldn't be totally shocked to see Waterson, end up on top here from a caught kick or some sort of trip takedown. Waterson always has those good takedowns where she gets the clinch, gets like a little body lock outside trip. Wouldn't be shocked to see that, have success here, man. So I gotta go dog or pass here. I won't be personally wagering on this fight at all, but I definitely think it is Waterson or pass. Probably Waterson decision or pass. I mean, the GTD is favored heavily at -300. That's probably value too, man. This fight should go the distance like 90% of the time, honestly. So it should be uh, a pretty boring fight. Not looking forward to this one. Don't know why they're booking the rematch, but that's about enough about that one. Any thoughts for you here?
Yeah, I mean, overall, traditionally, my angle on these kind of fights is I don't like having the girl with inferior grappling in a women's MMA fight. Here, that obviously would be Marina Rodriguez. Marina Rodriguez got knocked the fuck out two fights ago. Had a very close call with Yan Xiaonan. Almost got lost because of her ground game against Mackenzie Dern. Got right. So like it's kind of like who Marina is. So Marina got put on bottom once or twice, I think, in the first fight. I would definitely say Dogger Pass as well. I can't. Yeah, I honestly did think about laying the juice, but you just don't want because it'll be a slow avalanche as well with Marina because you'll be like, let's say she gets taken down one of the first two rounds. You're in the third round. You're like Marina. All you need to do is don't get taken down this round. And then what happens? She gets taken down, and you just feel like such an idiot. So I would say Waterson Gomez or pass, and I don't know if the number needs to get bigger though. I feel like all the enthusiasm that I'm seeing on the Marina side, the line's not moving, so I need the line to move more. I would bet. I'm down to bet Waterson if we get to like 300. I want like 300. Would you do it at 300, Martian?
Yeah, sure. I'll take a nibble.
Right, nice.
And so it's also kind of widely agreed that Waterson got I wouldn't say robbed, but that she got on the wrong end of that Pinheiro decision in her last fight. I mean, I don't think she hasn't looked that bad lately. I think who's looked older? I actually think it's Marina.
Yeah,
So,
now you're just a judge of women's ages. Aren't nice.
yeah, down to objectify them. We're staying on the main card. We're going up to the men's welterweight division. Brian Battle, AJ Fletcher. Brian Battle favored -190. AJ Fletcher coming back +165. Your turn to start this one off. Let's hear it.
So AJ's had a break since the Angelusa fight. The Angelusa fight was at altitude. I think he went in for like a finish there a little bit, and got his kind of got tired. But his bottom game, obviously, I think is a liability. So potentially Battle, if they do end up grappling, maybe Battle getting on top. I was initially thinking Battle was the right side here, potentially for a bet. I think I'll still pick him. Overall, like Battle, I think maybe at 170 just might be a little bit weaker than I thought. Like the sturdiness that he brought, I think, to 185, where he was able to defend takedowns from like Petrovsky and I forget who was the other dude that he beat up. Who's the other guy? Do you remember who was the other guy he beat up on the show? Nah.
Lachinov or
Yeah, him.
something.
Okay, yeah, maybe that fight didn't matter as much. But then, like what he did against Urbina, right at 185 as well, right? He withstood whatever he was doing and then finished him. I think maybe that's a little diminished at 170, just because he's not as quick in the transitions as the guys. Obviously, AJ's got little short, stubby arms. He's a little white meathead. He's like a little white meatball, 5'9". He's probably tough to kind of decisively beat. I think in the grappling, unless he's really tired, and that could be an avenue here because maybe Brian has kept the cardio. But I did hear that AJ is training at altitude now at Factory X. Maybe he saw that be an issue with him at altitude. So he's like, "Fuck it, let me just train there. I'll come out looking like Goku." So I actually think Fletcher, probably the bet getting bet down is right, but I also feel that this fight might go is probably gonna go the distance because Battle's a tough dude. I don't think that Fletcher's gonna submit him, but I could see some control time for either one, but neither being able to finish each other. So I'm considering the over or the goes the distance here at plus 130, 125 in that area. Pick Brian Battle to win.
That's a good angle. I would add some, starts around 3 as well because I think that probably the most likely finish here is either gonna be an AJ round 1 finish or a Battle round 3 finish. And AJ, I just think this guy's pretty hard to shut out. I mean, he's lost 2 fights to Semmelsberger and Lusa. Semmelsberger, he almost 10-8'd him in round 1. I mean, he took him down and mounted him for almost 4 minutes in that round. Almost knocked out Lusa unconscious in the second round, was losing that fight up until that point, but had his big moment and was, just a few seconds away from getting a knockout there. So it's like even the fights that he's lost, he's had, big moments where he's won a round. So personally, if I were looking to lay -190, I wouldn't wanna be laying that on a guy who I think is gonna win 29-28. I think I would be looking for a more decisive win than just a 2 rounds to 1 for -190. So I think it is Fletcher a pass here, and I think pre-fight, I think Fletcher's actually not a bad dog here. It's not one I'm fully endorsing like some of the other ones in this card, but I think Fletcher's gonna win round 1, man. I think this guy comes out like a bat out of hell most of the time. He's got those really short arms, and I don't know what the reach is here, but it's got to be like maybe 8 inches advantage for Brian Battle here if I had to guess. And we saw Battle just kind of brawl in that last fight. Remember versus Gabe Green? It was only 15 seconds, so it doesn't really matter. But I mean, those guys came out just exchanging, and then he obviously caught Green, put him out. But I think that Battle can kind of enjoy swinging like that. So I think if they're engaging in some swinging on the feet, I wouldn't be surprised to see Fletcher touch the chin and maybe sit Battle down. And then I also just think Fletcher will be able to take Battle down here. The takedowns will come fairly easy to him. It's just a matter of can he keep that up because Fletcher's gas tank is not the best. I think when he grapples, especially, that depletes his gas tank. But like you said, he's training at elevation. I mean, I think the guy's only like 26 or 27, right? I mean, oh, it's by the way, guys, 10-inch reach advantage for Brian Battle here. And Fletcher is young, yeah, 97. So he's only 26. We could see that gas tank continue to improve. So I think Fletcher, with the right game plan here, I think with the wrestling heavy game plan, I think he does look very live as this dog here. So I would maybe advise a small bet on Fletcher, and I think you'll definitely be able to trade out live if you don't like how it's looking. If Fletcher looks like he's slowing down, I think you'll have round one banked, and it'll be maybe pick him after round one. So yeah, man. I mean, just with how bad, I mean, obviously, Fakhretdinov is a great fighter, but with how bad Battle looked against a wrestler there, and Fletcher going for takedowns pretty often here, I wouldn't want no parts of juice on Battle here. But like Ozzy said, that's fight going long. I think is decent because I see them struggling to finish one another here. So
They have
um,
the most favored result, so if you look at the prop is battle submission. I just really don't I think it's gonna be tough to submit AJ Fletcher. So I
mhm.
think they're thinking that maybe Battle could lock up one of those little the chokes, like guillotines. But I think that's gonna be super tough to do, man. It's hard to get a AJ Fletcher isn't kind of like your boy Petrovsky kind of folded up, when he
Mhm.
got caught in that choke. Like this dude Fletcher is a little,
Spark
energizing
plug.
bunny. Yeah, exactly. So I think fading both these guys early finish. I think this fight goes later, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what Fletcher knockout round one is if they have a line on that.
And Fletcher
It's
round one is plus 600, but I see Fletcher decision as well. That could be. I kind of like that angle, do because Fletcher decision you get 550 as opposed to his money line. So I think I'm gonna have decision and Fletcher decision
mm,
as like a
nice.
long shot.
Um, Last fight on the main card. Next in the featherweight division, Charles Jourdain taking on Ricardo Ramos. Odds for this one have Jourdain minus 135, Ramos plus 115. Another underdog I feel pretty good about here in Ramos. Pretty simple, man. Jourdain gets taken down and he gives up his back, and Ramos gets takedowns and he takes backs. A lot of his fights, he's looking to get push you up against the cage, maybe get a little, you know, clinch trip takedown and then take the back. He's done it time and time again. On the feet, you definitely got to think that this fight favors Jourdain there. He's the much slicker striker of the two. But I mean, I think Ramos pretty consistently goes to the grappling in his fights, and I think I'm going to trust him to do so here. Man. I mean, pretty simple and analysis for me going on here. Jourdain, when he fought Burgos, that was the last time Burgos looked good, and he got taken down. He got his back taken several times there. The fight against Nathaniel Woods, somebody made it a video about it on Twitter, but they like compiled all the takedowns that Wood hit on Jourdain. Guys, we're talking basic trip takedowns and like little, I mean, stuff that you should not be getting taken down with in the UFC, and they were just extremely basic takedowns, and Wood was getting them down time and time again. So I just think that Jourdain's takedown defense and his tendency to give up his back is far, far too likely here to be laying any juice on him. So I like Ramos, 1.25 units for me at the plus 122 price. I think on FanDuel, any plus money I think is good on Ramos. I don't think he'll sub. I think he kind of just looks to hold the back and keep it there. And the line for sub isn't even that great at only plus 500. So I'm sticking with just Ramos money line here, and I think he will take some backs and win a decision here.
Great pick, John Martian. Excellent pick. Okay, so you called it very well. I like the simple breakdown there. Honestly, I just think the odds should be flipped. We should Ramos. I make him just slight favor here, or maybe like a minus 125, something like that, minus 130 favor here against Jourdain. First of all, I think people honestly have put Ramos in a bucket of guys got bad cardio, things like that, where it's not really true. None of his fights did he really gas out. Obviously, he had that tough fight against not Tuhugov, yeah, Tuhugov. He lost that decision, right? But it was just a close fight, close
One
decision.
round three
You know,
there.
yeah, one round three there. Tuhugov obviously was pushing the grappling, right? The takedowns. I think that was his first or one of his first few fight. Or no, he had been on 145 for a while. But regardless, I like this guy when he was back 5, 6 years ago when he was fighting Kong, Tanaka, when he almost decapitated poor Ayman Zahabi. So he was looking amazing back then as a prospect. And I think he just had some different matchmaking. He could have been pushed, I feel, higher up as well. So I just think a lot of the things that he poses, he's like the what Kron Gracie should fight like, right? He should have like a more developed, stand up game, gets to the back, off of takedowns, has spinning attacks as well, because he could throw these because he's not that worried about getting taken down. But the fact is, the guy's, has a lot of fight experience, throws pretty nice kicks, and is just dangerous overall. He will be always live to finish Charles Jourdain, I feel. Jourdain has shown some susceptibility, also getting hurt. I feel when you hit him with big shots, and I just think that with him beating Kron in the fashion that he did, people feel that, oh, he's, I don't know, found a way to be able to stop grappling. Honestly, in the terms of UFC fights, it looked like Kron was a UFC, like MMA novice, right? It looked like whatever improvements he was making at some point just kind of stopped, and then he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna just take this MMA fight," and he really kind of deteriorated. But the fact is, if he take away that win, right, he'd still be 1-5 in decisions. So he's 2-5 in decisions, but that's because he beat Kron Gracie. Um, and then his power has just not really carried up at 145. He has fought some decent guys at 145. And he did hurt Julian Erosa, but he even got taken down by Marcelo Rojo. And I just think that Ramos is gonna be able to take him down. So I feel that people think that Ramos could get swarmed on by Jourdain. I don't think that's gonna be easy. The guy can jab, he throws good low kicks, and he keeps like a wide kind of karate stance almost. So I don't think it's gonna be easy for Jourdain to just get in his face and start bombing his body, punch him in the face. So let's go. I got like a unit in on him early and at 120 as well. So I'm in on definitely Ricardo Ramos, one of my favorite underdogs this week.
Nice. Yeah, he's been taken down, I think, 21 times in the UFC. I mean, just gives up a lot of easy takedowns, and then once he gets taken down, just not good instincts, always giving up his back. I think the Burgos fight is the most readily recent example of that. So
He
yeah,
just
pretty
gives up
clear
these
underdog.
positions. He's always in these positions, and these are positions that freaking Ricardo Ramos gets. So, like a guy like Bill, who builds a real grappler. He's been grappling a long time. Wrestled in high school and college, and black belt in jiu-jitsu. He was all over his back.
Yep, and I don't think Bill wrestled in college for what it's worth. But anyway, one slight concern about Ramos though is he did miss weight 6 months ago. 9 pounds over, but he's taken 6 months. It's been about a year and 3 months since his last fight. I think he's gonna come back reinvigorated with that weight on point, and I think he's gonna get back on track here with the win.
Brazilian
S-
wave, I'm calling. It was
Small
Mexican wave, Brazilian wave coming.
small cage too. You gotta think that favors Ramos. And then, all right, we're into the prelims now. First fight is in the bantamweight division. Miles Johns taking down Dan Argueta. Odds for this one have Argueta minus 171. Miles Johns coming back plus 146. Your turn to start this one off in the first prelim fight.
It conflicted on this one. I've been thinking about this one a little bit during the week. Here is like a conflicting pick. The line has come in. I think some money hit Miles Johns. I do feel that opener or whatever the price was hanging around where he was like minus like 220, 215. I think that was a little aggressive. Um, Johns, I really wanted to fade him, and faded him hard against Castaneda. That came in. I went against him against Morales. That didn't really, do justice there. But he didn't do shit in that fight. Didn't look good. I didn't. I felt. But I mean, the guy does have talent. He keeps his stance. He throws meat and potatoes, kind of strikes out there. He'll jab. He'll throw a freaking calf kick. He'll throw a few right hands. He's competent overall. He's like he. I think he's not, you don't see a fighter like him in his division that often because he's also a negator. I feel he's a negator. He looks to stymie action. He looks to rest in certain positions. And Dan, the thing with him, the reason I'm not gung ho about backing Dan as a favorite is that his striking is not all that developed. He kind of just throws bombs out there. And if his wrestling, sometimes when he's taking these guys down, he's just kind of muscling them down. It's not like crazy technical, but he does put out a good pace out there, and he's got a submission game. And Miles Johns can give up his back if you take him down. So I'm interested to see how. I think I might stay out of it or just bet the fight to potentially go to decision or Miles Johns by decision. I think you get a 3-1 on that because I just feel that it's going to be tough to finish Miles Johns. And if Miles is able to wrestle with Dan and keep him off him a bit, I'm not in love with Dan's striking, and he's tough, dude. He got dropped a few times in LFA, so he's tough. He could go 5, but I think trying to get on the side of decision, both these guys being equally matched, is the best way to go about it potentially. So I think that's probably the where I'll end up being. But I would lean towards Maljohn's, honestly. I flipped that pick. I was the other way the whole week, and I think I like Maljohn's now.
Yeah, I'll pick Dan in this one, but I think Ozzy's on to something with the fight going the distance. I think the price that's probably the best bet on the fight. I just think that the odds are off here in terms of the finish equity. I would guess it. I guess Dan's sub would be the most likely, but I don't think that that's super high. I mean, let's see what the odds have it at. I don't imagine like plus three something, 350. They have it at, yeah, 350, 400. I think that's a little high. I think it should probably be more like 5 or 600. And they have John's, KO as his most likely. I don't think so, man. I don't think that he's going to be finishing him here. I know he had a few KOs with Dos Santos and Natividad. He found the kill shot there, but he's also had several fights where he just hasn't landed too many strikes. I mean, most recently, Vince Morales fight. Vince Morales not a good fighter at all, and that was a close fight. I think some people actually scored that one for Vince,
I
and
thought Vince won. I was
yeah.
on Vince, but I thought he won.
And I mean, he landed 38 significant strikes in that fight. I mean, just not good numbers, 28 strikes to the head. I just don't think his striking or volume is very good. But I think this fight's going to have a lot of grappling, and I just think that Dan is the more physical and better grappler of the two. I just think that his physicality is on a little bit different of a level, and I think he just fights with a little bit more dog in him, as I like to say. So I think it will be probably a competitive decision, and, a little concerned about Arguetta's cardio. I think that he's definitely could be a front runner here, but I don't think Johns' cardio is particularly great either. Has been finished a few times in the later rounds, mostly by strikers, which Dan is not. But I see Dan getting off to an early lead here, winning the grappling positions early on. And the fight should go the distance. So, if any bet I like the most here, it will be that goes the distance. But my pick is Dan to win the fight. And that's going to bring us along to the welterweight division. Tim Means taking on Andre Fialho. Odds for this one have Fialho minus 161, Means plus 141. Big time Tim Means fan, and been betting on him several fights now. Been losing on him for several fights now. And, this was a time I was thinking early in the week, maybe it's time to hop off that train. Fialo's no good, but he does, land an occasional big punch. And that seems like it's, Tim Means is just collapsing. He can put together a few good minutes and then he collapses in the second or third round. But I'm having FOMO here, and I had to take Tim Means too because, if here's the thing is if Tim Means loses this fight, I think that will be his last fight. It'll be 4 losses in a row. I don't think he'll be getting another fight after that one, and there's just no way I can forgive myself if I didn't bet on Tim Means and he wins this one here. So skill wise, Tim Means much better fighter, but he is extremely old. He's way past his prime, probably like 8 years past his prime. And like I said, he's been collapsing late in fights lately, but hopefully he's able to string together, enough to win here. Because skill wise, he's much better than Fialho. Fialho stinks, man. He's just a puncher. This guy doesn't throw kicks. He doesn't grapple. He's not a good defensive grappler. He doesn't really push a pace. He just lands an occasional big punch here and there. So I think Fialho stinks, and I'll be riding Tim Means one last time here for a 3/4 of a unit money line bet.
Yeah. Here's another one where we agree. So I also have Tim Means. I got him in at 170. So early in the week, I decided I'm like, man, I just gotta fade Andre Fialho. Like the guy's got knocked out bad in his last, I think, 3 fights. Um, Even in the other fights that he's won, or even the other fights, or the only fight he won, the Cameron Van Water fight. I mean, he was getting kind of buzzed in that fight. Like that fight kind of looked like it might have devolved into something else. But Fialho
And the
has,
Baeza fight, both those fights, he
yeah,
was getting tagged in
yeah,
the round one.
exactly. This guy is flipping coins. So, I do think that they're like, all right, like here, let's try to knock out Tim Means. And the fact is, Tim Means does keep his hands up. He has been getting buzzed a little bit, but he's only officially been knocked out 2 times. Okay, that's a fact. And obviously Morono or the Kevin Holland fight, he got clubbed and subbed, and then the Daniel Rodriguez one. But this guy Fialho, I don't think really knows jiu-jitsu. He has outside of round one, he's won 2 fights, guys. He's knocked out James Vick when James Vick was kind of shot, but he beat him up there in the second round, knocked his ass out, and then one other one, some kind of on the Brazilian regionals, I think. He's never won a decision unanimously. Okay, I think he's got one like majority decision and then like one split. So he's only has 2 decision wins. So I think Tim Means, I mean, he needs to mind his P's and Q's. Fialho doesn't really push the pace, like you said. He throws out punches every once in a while. He's a very my turn, your turn kind of guy. And yeah, like if the round is getting away from him, it's hard for him to pull it back significantly. So Tim obviously needs to keep the jab out there. Fialho does have a good right hand he throws out, but not much of a kicker sometimes. Right, sometimes he kicks, sometimes he doesn't. Excuse me, but I think Tim should be safe overall from getting his legs chopped up too much. And then hopefully he could get in the clinch a little bit, throw some dirty uppercuts, dirty the fight up. But I think he could not get a knockout here potentially. So, at plus 170, I was like, hell yeah, I'll ride Tim Means one more time. I haven't been on the other, like, betting against or betting on him like some others have. So I'm like, fuck it, hell yeah, I'm riding with that. Good price. So hopefully let's get this win for Tim.
Let's do it. Amazing fight next in the premier division in the UFC. Jacob Malkoun taking on Cody Brundage. Odds for this one, Malkoun minus 600. Cody Brundage plus 425. The market finally catching on to Cody Brundage being a bum here. Your turn to start this one off. I know you're dying to talk about this one. Let's hear it.
Yeah, this is one fight that I didn't really do too much thinking on. Obviously Malkoun's a very boring fighter, right? He does stuff well, but it's very not interesting. And then Cody Brundage is, I don't know, he's like a mental midget. I think he's probably really skilled in the gym. Like he probably gives a lot of guys, difficulty in rounds, but and a proverbial underperformer. So I was looking, I was like, oh, like which way could it bet the fight? Could he bet the fight? This fight? And I saw like plus 200 on the under or something like that. So I looked at that for a little bit, but that's not like that's just like I don't really have a strong take. So I don't know who's in the win, honestly. I would probably pick Malkoun for sure. He's like what 4-1 here, minus 400 or something
Six
like that.
one.
Oh, it's 6-1. Holy shit. So yeah, I don't think so, but yeah, I don't know. How do you have it?
I'll yeah, I mean, I think you got to invest on some sort of like Malkoun finish prop here because Cody Brundage collapses at just an alarming rate. I mean, he can have a good round one some of the times, but I mean, has this guy ever looked good? No, he looked good against he won round three against Nick Maximov in his first UFC fight. But I mean, recently, man, I mean, this guy has been just he knocked down Vieira in the round 1, and then, he was done after that. He took down Dumas, and then he was done after that. He even took down McCall in round 1, it was done. I mean, I'm looking to invest in round 2, round 3 Malkoun here, but we've seen him collapse just right away in round 1 versus McCall, for instance. Took down McCall, was holding him down for the first 2 minutes. The fight was going perfectly, and he still gassed out 2 minutes in, of that fight versus McCall. So I mean, I gotta invest in, I think, Brundage round 2, round 3 here. Excuse me, Malkoun round 2, round 3. It's plus 500, plus 800. I just think that he might be able to compete and have a moment early on here. And also, Malkoun is just not really a finisher. He's kind of a lame prayer. He just goes to the single leg, takes guys down over and over again. That's how he's won pretty much all of his UFC fights. So I'm just hoping that he can, stay away from that finish for a little bit and maybe get it in the second or third round. Even though he's not a finisher, technically hasn't finished a fight in the UFC, I think that it will be there this time. Brunage will probably just be giving up a submission of some sort. So I think it'll be a round 2 or round 3 sub for Jacob Malkoun here, getting his first UFC finish. And we're probably getting a generous price on some of these props just because he hasn't gotten that finish yet. So looking at some Malkoun finish here, guys. I think there's value. And that's going to take us to the heavyweight division next for an amazing fight here. Jake Collier versus Muhammad Usman. Odds for this one have Usman minus 135, Collier plus 115. Well, it's 116 actually. And this is going to be a good one here. I think it's technically my turn to start this one. So I will be riding Jake Collier once again here. We bet against him in the last fight, but I've bet on him multiple times in a row, and we'll be doing so again here. Uh, because Muhammad Usman, I think that on the feet, it's going to favor Jake Collier. He's just much more active. He throws more strikes. He can push a higher pace on the feet. And Usman, his striking is just very, one shot at a time. He was getting jabbed up by uh, Pauga, and then he found that big kill shot and knocked him out in the second round. But I think his striking is just very, you know, low volume. So I think if the fight stays standing, it's just going to be Collier throwing and landing more strikes. Obviously there's a slight chance that Usman lands a big shot and puts him out, but I just haven't been impressed by Usman's striking. And I don't think Collier is very, uh, fragile either. I think he can take a punch. So on the feet, I favor Collier. And then you got to think that Usman's going to be looking to get the fight to the floor. He did so last fight versus Tafa. Tafa was landing a punch or two that was buzzing him on the feet, then he would shoot a takedown. But I think that not only does Collier have better takedown defense than Tafa, I think he also has better get up. So even if Usman does take Collier down, I think Collier will work his way back up to the feet, and it will force Usman to fight at a higher pace than he's ever fought at before. His two UFC fights, the Pauga fight was just a very pedestrian sparring striking fight. The Tafa fight, he would land one takedown and then just lay on top for, rounds and rounds. Since then, the judges have been instructed to, or the refs have been instructed to separate guys for stalling more often. We've been seeing that lately. Is that guys pushing against the cage or laying on top, not passing guard? The referees are standing them up more often, and I just don't think Usman has much of a top game. I don't think he's going to be looking to pass guard here. I think he is looking to lay and pray once he gets those takedowns, and I don't think that's going to work against Collier here. So I just got to go with Collier due to pace here. I think he's going to push a higher pace. I think he's going to just bring a higher tempo out of Usman than Usman is comfortable with. And I think Collier will win a decision here. And I will be riding Jake Collier money line for 1 unit at plus 124 odds. And that will be the fifth and final underdog of the card for me. Passing it back to Ozzy to talk about this one. I know we're going to be excited to talk about this one.
Amazing, amazing. Let me tell you, the Jay Collier army is strong. Nothing dissuades the Jay Collier army. These guys are loyal, man. If I ever, shout out to all the fans that I do have or that we have right now. But if I could trade, I no, let me not say that. But I just hope one day to have a following like Jay Collier's, okay? Because these people, they're ready to go to the window. The thing with Jay Collier for me is I would honestly, go into Collier by knockout here if I liked him because I just feel that if for him to he comes out hot now, I guess now at heavyweight. But in his last fight, he was hitting Bude with a lot of shots, and people love seeing that. They're like, "Yeah, that was awesome." He was doing so well in that fight. He definitely won the first round, and bad beat, bad beat. He won the first round so easy, and just bad beat that he lost the next 2 rounds. But dude, he was obviously gassed and tired. That's why he was falling into the clinch in that second round. Wasn't as effective as he was early on. And then in the third round, the same shit happened in the second round. It's just maybe not as wide of a margin as people were feeling. But he was dog tired, falling into the clinch, into a place where Bude was clearly beating him up on in and potentially I could see the grappling being a problem here because when he does get put down, man, this guy's a fish, man. This guy, he's when he starts his gas tank starts depleting so hard. If there is grappling, so he better come out hot again. But I just think overall, if the fight is going to decision, I don't like Jake Collier's chances, and I feel that people are like snug with the oh Collier, he wins decisions at heavyweight. The fat guy, he's the guy that goes to the decision and he gets robbed. But I think it's looking more like if he's fat as fuck, like he's been, that it's gonna be he's getting tired in the third round because he maybe got taken down along the way. But I like just like him by knockout here. You get plus 400. Plus 120 is just, relying on him not gassing out and losing the decision. And is relying on Muhammad Usman to withstand the game plan that you just described, which is him, all the volume and all this stuff like that. Usman, he's probably gonna get finished if that's the case. So I like taking a bigger shot on Jake Collier because man, this guy just you don't know with him, dude. You don't know what he's gonna do. So I'd rather pass on that close, plus money line and just take him by knockout, dude.
Not a bad angle.
Yeah.
I do think the under is getting too much value here, so I think that the over is the way to play it. I just think the
Dude,
fight going to
all
this is
these, so many his fights, dude. The Carlos Felipe fight, he lost that fight because he started getting tired. He won the Jean Vellante fight because Jean Vellante got tired. He lost the Chris Barnett fight because he made
he's been
himself
looking
tired.
slim. Have you
He
seen
lost
picture?
the.
I saw a picture of him. He's
We'll
looking cut,
see. I hope,
lean.
dude. I hope because they said that he was cutting to 265, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's
You can't be doing
not the
that.
best. As you once
Yeah,
said, fighting
yeah.
with 40% body fat is just a strange decision as a
It
professional
just doesn't
athlete.
make sense. I mean, it just doesn't, dude. I mean,
Well,
that's the thing, dude.
he
Country.
weighed 265 in 3 fights in a row. So if we see him coming in here under 265, actually he's fought at 265 on every one of his heavyweight fights.
Yeah, if he's like 263s, 262, that would be good. I would like to
No,
see that.
I think he's gonna come in like 255, honestly.
We'll see, dude. I don't know.
I mean,
You
the fact that he used to fight at 185 and has weighed in at the heavyweight limit of 265 7 times in a row is
don't
just
give a
insane.
give a
It's just
fuck.
insane. But we're down to the last 2 fights here, both women's fights. So we have in the women's strawweight division the return of Mitsuki Inoue taking on Hannah Goldy. About 3 years off for Inoue here. She's minus 305, Goldy plus 255. Your turn to start this one off.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say on this one. I know in a way has done a lot of training with over here in like Long Island with the Sarah and Longo a team over here. But looks like she's ready. She took a lot of time off after, hurting her knee. I think that's good. She's still young enough, talented. She's at here at 115, which I like as well. So I think she's probably gonna piece up Goldie, go for some takedowns, have her on the ground, go for a submission at some point, but that the number is not high enough to take it here. So we'll see. I'm just hopefully see her back. Hopefully she's active now, and we got another Japanese, good Japanese fighter to push. So we'll see.
No, there will be no push for Inoue here.
I know.
She's only 29, but she's been a pro for 13 years.
Mhm.
So she's been pro for what, six
But she didn't
since
fight for like
16?
4 years.
Yeah,
21.
3 years off, but, I mean, she was good back in the day in Invicta, and, getting to the UFC, I thought she looked pretty underwhelming. Only 2 fights, but even the Wu Yanan fight, I remember betting her in that fight and just thinking that she just did enough to get by in that one, and Wu Yanan's a total bum. Obviously got, smoked by Lemos, but now that we know about Lemos, that's not a bad loss, but 3-year layoff, just hasn't looked good in recent years. I mean, she's only fought once a year for the past, I mean, she fought once in 2018, once in 2019, once in 2020. So I mean, she's not very active even before the loss and the layoff, and then 3-year layoff. I just wouldn't want any part of Inoue here, minus 300. I mean, even her props, man. I mean, just nothing I see that's interesting. So it's Hannah Goldie or pass, but Goldie stinks, man. I mean, she's not good at anything. Just if you're thinking about investing any money on this fight, I advise to instead invest it in Hannah Goldie's OnlyFans, and that will be a better way to spend your money in this fight. You will get a higher ROI for buying her OnlyFans than you will
Hannah
betting
Goldie's
on this
in
fight.
shape. We could say that she's in shape. So
She's
if any
stacked.
if anyway is messing around, I mean, this is the thing. Hannah Goldie, she'll be around. She'll be there. So anyway, just come look to submit this girl right away. No, no messing around.
Hannah Goldie is thorough, as they would say. Enough about that one. In the women's bantamweight division, last fight on the card. Well, actually, it's the first fight on the card, but the last fight we're talking about on the card: Monstrat and Rendon taking on Tamaris Vidal. Odds for this one have Vidal minus 220, Rendon plus 185. Uh, I remember a little bit about Vidal, mostly her getting out grappled versus Alan Perez in the regionals. Then Perez illegally knees her in the head and gets herself disqualified. So I think Vidal if I were looking to fade her, I would be looking to fight to back a grappler against her, a woman who can go for takedowns. And I just watched a few minutes of Rendon, and she's just like a low volume kickboxer. And getting to the UFC late here, 34 years old. She has some wins in Combati and Invicta, some decent promotions, but I'm not seeing anything I like from her. Just a low to medium volume kickboxer. I don't think she provides anything, and I think Vidal will probably win. So no interest in any bets from this one. Whatever, guys, whatever time the fight card starts, it's supposed to start at 4 p.m.
Oh,
Just tune
don't
in
do
at
it.
5.
No,
Just
no,
just tune in at 5 for Jay
no.
Collier, and soak up the sun on on a Saturday for an extra hour. So enjoy it.
Okay.
What are you thinking?
Okay, yeah, maybe that's the okay take. If you're enjoying yourself outside, that's good. But like we said, I'm always betting the first fight of the night from now on. So we got
Yo,
Vidal.
did you see that guy question you in the comments last week? He
Exactly.
said, "Why you betting the first fight of the night?" Ozzy said, "Nuts indecision."
That's
What the fuck
indecision.
happened?
Easy money, easy money. So, we're just committing to the bit. We're keeping everyone, if for Uncle Dana asked me, he's like, there's a lot of fans nowadays, like my co-host here, who shit on the first fight, say don't watch. So he said, hey, could you continue to give the people a pick, the early on, so they are interested in watching? I said, no problem, Uncle Dana. So we got Vidal inside the distance here, right? She's gonna finish this girl some way, shape, or form at some point. They're gonna get busy. They're gonna hit the ground. Maybe they're throwing knees. However, it's gonna happen. I'm very confident Vidal's probably gonna win, but you really don't want to lay 2-1 here or this juice line. So I just think we start off picking up a good inside the distance ticket. Close to plus 200, and that'll be a good start. So we could roll it over and hopefully avoid Jay Collier, because Jay Collier, everybody's saying that we got to bet Jay Collier. So trying to avoid that. And I think if I could convince myself to have enough plus money tickets early on, and hopefully they hit, I won't feel bad. So set the distance.
Just looking over our FMKs from last week, we hit it on the fucking nose. So you gave me Holland, Lacerda, and the goes the distance in the Shevchenko fight. I married the goes the distance, easy winner. I fucked Lacerda, push. I killed Holland, that lost. For
Lacerda was
you,
looking great, honestly.
you absolutely fucking nailed this shit. I gave you JDM GTD, Zellhuber GTD, Padilla GTD. You
Mhm,
married JDM GTD, absolutely sailed the distance. You fucked
mhm.
Padilla GTD, that shit hit,
Oof.
and you killed Zellhuber, which ended up losing. So
Yeah, that was good.
we were on point last week. We
That was
hope to
good.
keep it that way. I have my lines for you.
All right, give him to me,
Um,
Martian. You're always ready. So let me get
yep.
him.
I was thinking of them just now. They're all totals.
Oh
Okay.
shit.
The first one is going to be the Jake Collier Muhammad Usman over excuse me, over 2.5 rounds at
Mhm,
minus 115.
mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Next one, Tim Means Andre Fialho over 1.5 rounds minus
Oof.
135.
Oh
Last
man.
but not least, AJ Fletcher versus Brian Battle over 2.5 rounds minus 105.
105 for that. Wow. So I feel all of these could create like incredible sweats. I feel there could all of them could have the potential to be that. Wow. All right. So I'm very interested in the AJ Fletcher fight. So I think I like that one the most, but I obviously the GTD price, I'm gonna just say, is a lot bigger. So I think I would bet this. It was GTD, okay? But I'm right away, I'm gonna tell you I'm fucking that one, all right? So I'm gonna fuck that one. That one's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be a good one to have. Now, I'm gonna marry I'm gonna marry the Collier over, just because heavyweight overs. Let's just always go with them, I guess. Right? I'm leaning into the crowd on that one. This is like an arranged marriage. When your
Mm,
friends and your family, they're like, "Hey, it's gonna be this, whatever." They're saying Jay Collier, so I'm guessing Jay Collier is gonna win by decision. All right, so whatever. Um, and then I'm gonna kill the last one, the
Fialho
Brian,
over.
the Fiala over. Yeah. So now I'm gonna flip it on to you. I'm gonna give you only money lines. Okay, so we're gonna have Ricardo Ramos plus 120. Okay, I'm gonna give you Mateusz Gamrot plus 130, and then lastly, uh, I guess I got to give you Jay Collier. Gonna
Yep.
go lean into the bit. So Jay Collier plus 125, 120. So FMK those three Martian. Let's see.
Good ones. All the
Plus
same
money tickets.
price.
Yep.
All the same price. These are good. This is good. Um, okay. I've got it. I will be marrying the gamer. Marry Mateusz minus
Mateusz
one or
Gamrot.
plus 130.
Mm.
I think that the 5 round fight favors him and he will get the job done late. I will be fucking RR Ricardo Ramos, the Brazilian. Uh, he's gonna take backs. We're gonna fuck our way to the back there. Okay. Last one. Kill. I have to kill Jay Collier, unfortunately.
Ooh.
At one point in time, I wanted to kill Jay Collier. Just like you said, the loyal army. I remember losing
You,
I think some of the most I've ever lost on a single fight in
you
that
almost
in that
sprung a
part in that
coup.
fight.
You almost sprung a coup.
Yeah, exactly. But luckily, I was able to get over that, and
Like a
one
normal,
of the guys
like a Ukrainian, like springing a coup, like a Ukrainian. Wow.
exactly.
Leave it
I
to
was
him.
able to overcome my hatred for Collier. I'm back to on his train, but unfortunately, I will have to kill him there. So, marry Mateusz, fuck Ricardo, kill Jake Collier. And that's
Nice.
gonna do it, folks. And guess what, guys? We are off next week. The first time in
Wow.
probably like 14 weeks. There is no UFC next week. On
Crazy.
September 30th, we're off. We're back. We're back October 7th. We're coming in hot for Ozzy's boy, Ozzy's protege, Grant
Oh Lord.
Dawson's main event debut. So
Stuff
excited for
that
that
dreams are
one.
made of. Yeah, stuff that dreams are made of.
That will be good. But Ozzy, enjoy the week off. I'm sure you'll be have an action packed schedule next weekend. Everybody else, enjoy the week off as well. Make sure you touch grass and maybe get the Halloween activity started because we'll be in almost October next weekend. So thank you all for listening, everyone. Hope you all enjoy the fights, win some bets. Hopefully, the underdogs come through this weekend, and we will see you all in 2 weeks before Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green main event. Peace out, everyone.